So for those people who are a bit late, because I'm recording now, this is what we're doing. We're just talking about why we use Google Forms. It was sung out that we use them for surveys and feedback, tests, what other things? You were saying that someone said check-in. Yep. So you can use Google Forms for a lot of those things. To be honest, a lot of those things is to find out what someone knows or what they are thinking. Is that right? Is that what we've just kind of called out this just then? So a couple of things that I've used, and I'll just quickly go through these for those who haven't seen them in action so much. A post test. Okay, this is what we did in science. This is a post test. I got the kids to look at information there, obviously put their name there, and then answer questions. Okay. And if I quickly just put a blah, blah, blah name, I'll quickly go on to the next page so you can see a bit more of, okay, I'm in 3 Minute 2 today. So a few more questions. Once again, these resources they can see. So I'm not just asking them questions, I'm giving them a little bit of information. Another things that I use for comprehension, once again, finding out all that they know. I use it for BTN a lot. Upper primary school, if you watch BTN, the resources they give you the questions. So this is a really good example of what I did earlier this year. We talked about what we're going to do in BTN. I actually got them to do it before we watch. And once again, what questions do you have, or what would you like to learn about megafauna? And then if I click onto the next page, it has the links to the videos as well, so they can watch directly through this. So we use this in lockdown. Okay, I could set them the exact link that I want them to do, and the questions there, a bit of information. There might be random questions where they've got to choose an answer, plus there might be answers where they've got to write a longer answer, which is fairly familiar for most people here. I've also used them as checklists. This is something which I did during lockdown for the Year 3 classes, and this is quite good. We actually got them to check that they were ready to learn. We got them to give them the day, a task they had to complete that day, links from other resources to do. Yep. Yep. I suppose it does answer, well, to answer that would be, you could be specific to what task it was. You're right, if it's just a checker box, well, they don't really need the extra piece of paper. But if we want them to formulate a better answer, yes, having the scrap paper there and going through a process of talking before you answer as well, depending on what it is. Sally? So, what do you use forms over answering exactly what I was just having questions and a text box and for them to write their answer. What's the benefit of Google Forms? For me, to see the responses quickly. Okay. Yeah, I could just see them quickly. I can also add as a quiz and they can mark them as well. And we're not going to go into the quizzes so much today, but it can be marked straight away. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the second part, and you'll see why I like forms as well a bit more. Yeah, going back to what you're saying, yeah, I agree. Yeah, using things online does stifle a little bit of creativity or work or thought process, depending on the task. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. But comprehension tasks, simple questions or open questions, things like that, they definitely need to be a bit more thought process. Excuse me, go into it. And talking about the checklist or the check-in, having things like this, which you would have seen in the surveys that I sent you out, you know, do they need a bit of extra help? So they're giving me information. So all these examples really are about giving information. The lots more might have been, that's, I'm not going to show that one, but that was about your cultural background. Where do your parents come from? Where do your grandparents come from? So with that data, we could then put it together on a map. So just simple finding out information. But my thing is, yeah, that's fantastic, but Google Forms is a lot more than that. There's the or. to use a personalized teaching tool. Yep. Can I talk about that a little bit later and show you later? And also, once again, I'd probably like to have a chat to you about a bit more. And part of this process is you'll get to see a bit more as well. Yeah, and I understand from your perspective, you haven't seen that, and I'll show you a bit of that. Okay. So the big or part, and I suppose this is a focus here because I probably guarantee no one uses Google Forms. So this is actually a personal teaching tool. Rather than me finding information. I actually want to use Google Forms to teach rather than just get information out. So for example, this one here, I'm going to teach you how to create a YouTube playlist. I've created a Google form and I would like you to learn how to create a YouTube playlist. I did notice in the survey that I gave out a couple of weeks ago that one person, I think out of everybody, knew how to create a YouTube playlist. So let's do that. So I'm going to put this in our Google Classroom. So if you've got your device there, I'm going to quickly, I actually created this a little bit earlier in classwork. It's down as a draft, so I'll just post that now. Let's edit. And what I'd like you to do is do this Google form to see if it can teach you something. Okay, so I'll post that. Post. So if you go into our Google Classroom, hopefully in the stream there, it says there's new material. Click on that and that will open up the Google form that like this. Go for it. Have a 5-minute play with that. That will take you 5 minutes. I want you to learn something. There. That was a great, well, a good little example, I'd say, also a great example because I created it, of me teaching you something rather than me finding out information from you. Okay, does that make sense? There was information given, and depending on your answers, you got different things. If you click straight away that, yes, I can teach you how, well, the next thing that you would have had to do is the last page. Okay, go straight to the last page. If I go back here, if I go, yes, but I can't remember exactly how, if I click on here, there's a quick video to demonstrate, as we say there, and then the audio file. I used WeVideo to create that audio file. Think about particularly some of the younger students or those who are struggling reading, you can create audio questions. Okay, you can use your phone to do that and upload the link straight away. Put it in your Google Drive and upload the link. But back to this, if I said, can you, yep, I'm going to click yes. Why is this so? Now, if I didn't write anything, I would be able to go so. But because I wrote one thing, I like this bit. It's called answer validation. Basically says that they have to answer a certain amount of characters. They can't just go, yep. They can't just go, blah. So, and I can even put in there, can you expand your answer into a full sentence? I wrote that. Okay, I told them exactly what I wanted out of that. Okay, so that's a really good thing to have whenever you ask the paragraph answers. You can say how long your paragraph wants to be, and if they don't give you a long enough paragraph, that red line will turn up and say, hey, I asked for a paragraph. What are you doing? Now, they could just write N for 150 characters and they get an answer, but hey, that's data. That's the information they're giving you. I think I put 15 characters there, so it wasn't too much. I better put 15 characters there. But because I've said yes there, I go on to the next part. If I said no, it actually has a video on how to sign into YouTube. If I had yes, and just for everybody know, our education accounts are Google accounts, okay? Even though they don't say .google.com or google.gmail or whatever it is, gmail.com. Yeah, we have Google accounts. So there it goes on to the next page. So once again, depending on the answer, you get different screens to see. Okay, and obviously, if you click the wrong one here, and it was just to click save, if I click the wrong one here, it says, well, maybe you need to watch my cool video again. Get it right. Okay, so once again, I'm re-educating. It's the education back there. Oh, sorry, sir, I meant save. And I'll come to save, and then it'll go on to my next page and say, yep, you are a YouTube legend. You can create your own in your own time. And you can see it's quite easy to do. Someone was asking about, can you share just YouTube playlists? Yes, you can share a playlist. So that means the student will get the playlist and there'll be 4 videos there and it'll be asked to watch those things. Or you can share them individually depending on the task. I quite often just collect videos in a playlist. I don't share the playlist, but I have them there, so I then know, okay, for this class, I want them to watch this video about matter, and it's there for me. I don't have to go searching for it again. Any questions about that? Yes. Yeah. Can I show? And I'll show you in a second. Yeah. So that's the end. So back to the slide. Where was I with the slide? So that's just an example. If you're on the classroom, so this is actually called branching, the official name. So if you want to do a search on Google Forms branching, you'll find plenty of information. But don't do that now because I'm teaching you stuff. So an example of this, and once again, Year 2 digital technology. This was something that I did just last week. I've taught them 3 or 4 lessons in a row. And now I want to see how much they remembered. So once again, I'm asking the questions, blah, 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 blah. And I will show you how I created this in a second. Okay, what is digital learning? Any type of learning using technology or using Chromebooks. Now, if they click the wrong answer, they get a different answer, a different prompt, just like we did before. Now, this is the information that I've given in previous lessons, the same video, the same information. So I'm not teaching them new things, it's a reteaching moment. Okay, if that makes sense. But of course, do I have to reteach everybody? No, some people know the answers. So that's why I think it's important to give them the option to move on. So we're not keeping everybody at the same pace. Okay, and that's when we talk about the individualized learning. And I'll click out of this because that's just an example again. The form itself. Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah. The form itself, and this is be a bit about what you were saying there, Bright. So this is my form, okay? First page, or the first is just a title page, and then I add sections. So these are these 2 lines here where my thumb is pointing. I'm adding a section. So every new page when they click onto something is a new section, okay? So it's not just a continuous form. And I think a few of us have filled out or made continuous forms which have 10 questions on it, and by the time you get to the bottom, it's just like, I don't care what the answer is anymore. No, adding the extra pages does actually help people, and you can have that progress bar as well, which is good. So there's a new section there. Who are you? New section there. Now, for these questions here, you'll notice they had a red dot on it. It says last. I've just clicked required. So for those people just making for the first time, required means I want that answer. Digital learning. What is digital learning? I've given them the question, and now when I click on this, this is where I put the answer based on something, okay? If for this question here, if they tick here, they go to section 5, which is the next part, or if they click this one, which is the incorrect, they go to the next. Now, how I've done that, down here, our snowmen or the 3 dots, I'm clicking on go to section based on answer, okay? So now this has to be a ticker box. They do one or the other. Or the other. You can have 3 or 4, and you can have 3 or 4 paths that they go. Well, you might create something like that shortly. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, I think I had an answer validation down in this one somewhere. If I don't, I'll create one. So I'm just going to create one in here for you, Bright. So if I create a question, tell me more, ... I'm going to turn this into a paragraph, or Google's pretty smart. It knows it wants a paragraph there. If I click down to the three dots again, I've got my response validation or answer validation. Click on that. It gives me the options, the length, minimum character count. I want it to be at least 20 characters. So like our report, characters, not words. And my custom error test. I said, tell, me more. Should I make it bold? Yeah. Okay. So I've given them the response straight away. Once again, feedback from us, if we talk about feedback that needs to be given, there's a whole different part with quizzes about, and I'm not going to go on that today, not enough time, about quizzes, how if they answer something, you can give them feedback on a correct answer and on an incorrect answer. That's something which I'm quite happy to kind of do a separate PL on as well, on quizzes. But I thought this is something probably most people haven't done before. So that's did that answer you there, Bright? Multiple choice, no, because it's one or the other, or one. Okay, so there's not a validation. No. But if I go back to here, yep, this is go to section 5, continue to next section. If you notice in this one, yep, I've got the information. I've put a YouTube clip in. I've actually even copied and pasted a direct slide that they have read before, and I've read through them. So that's where the information comes in here. Inserting pictures, that sort of thing. And that's something which I want people to play around with. I will continue on. Any questions about that? Because I'm zooming through quickly because I want you guys creating things rather than me talking about it. When we talked about pretty pictures, I was actually going to bring some whiteboards down. If I was creating a fairly complicated one, this is what I'd do. I'd map it out. Okay. For here, this is an example. If I think about, let's say you were teaching word work or spelling activities and you wanted them to do an activity. They get a choice of 3 activities. You could do something like this where they go, okay, I want to do the green activity, which is this style. And today they do all those. The gatekeeper question is just validating what they've done, and you might have a final activity which everybody does together. And then on Tuesday, they do that one. On Wednesday, they do that one. But they get to choose which one they want to do. If you have a look at this, here's an example. I look at this one, it's pretty, I could imagine with mathematics, this would be quite useful. You might be teaching simple, well, you might be teaching, I won't say simple, addition. This question 1 could be 2-digit addition. And you might say, sit with the whiteboard so you can work it out yourself. And if they get the question wrong, you then give them a video on how to do something. And it might be a video of yourself, or it might be from Khan Academy. It might be an activity they've done already. Now, from there, you could obviously give them separate questions, or you could just leave it as a teaching activity. If they get the answer correct, well, I don't want to reteach them 2-digit addition. I want to bump it up here to 4-digit addition. See how they go there. Yep, cool. If they get it correct, they're on to the next stage. If they don't get it correct, once again, there is a page or a section on our Google form where you are teaching them, showing them a video, or giving them activities that is validated to that response. And then, of course, there's the next one. Does that all, those pictures kind of make sense? It's just getting the planning in your head. Who remembers the old Choose Your Own Adventure stories? Choose Your Own Adventure stories, remember reading a few of those? If you have, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this. Where are we now? Here we go. No, wrong one, wrong, wrong. I'm over here. If you go back to, hopefully, our screen, you can see Choose Your Own Adventure there. Now, that wasn't there before. Notice that wasn't there before. I scheduled for that to appear while we were talking. So it just appeared automatically. So if you haven't used scheduling on Classroom before, it's really useful. Open that up, and there is 3 examples of Choose Your Own Adventure stories. Open them up and have a look at them. Have a play around with them. These are other ones that other people have created. So no, I didn't create that one. It wasn't me, I promise. Yes, these are created already, which I found while just doing a bit of research for this. I just thought they'd be good examples. You saw the 2 simple ones. I haven't been through the boat one completely yet, because the justification of the answer, you've got to write lots. One more thing, I suppose, well, two more things I'd like us to do. Sorry, Sally. A couple more things I'd like us to do is probably, if we look at this Jamboard here, it is in our Google Classroom as well. This is probably, let's spend 2 minutes. Now that you've had a bit of exposure, how could you use them in the classroom? Can you see different ideas? And what I thought, it'd be nice if we spent a couple of minutes just going through the different slides on the Jamboard. Now, for those people who weren't here last week, did you see the Jamboard bit? No? Have you used Jamboards before, Kimmy? Yep. So what I suggest now is open up, it's in our Google Classroom, Jamboard here, and there's a different page. How would you use this in branching in literacy? And how would you use it in Haas? How would you use it in numeracy or everything else? So if you want to spend like just a couple of minutes jotting down ideas, sharing ideas with other people. Now to do this, if you look up at the screen, I'm going to, firstly, when you open up Jamboard, it'll look a bit like this. You can see it says 2 of 6. If I expand that, these are all the different, like they're big pieces of butcher's paper, okay? And all we're doing is adding things. Now, the easiest way to add things, I find, for the kids is well, there's a couple of easy ways. I'll hide that now. Is you can just create a text box, which is the T there, or the fun one, which I give the kids, is the sticky notes. You click on sticky notes and go, yep, yeah, and we could say comprehension, activity, or that sort of thing, whatever you want to do, activity, and then save that, and then you get your little sticky note. The only thing is you have to remind the kids to look after them. They can get deleted, can't they, right? Mr. Ly's class know how to delete them. Out of all the classes I've said, so don't delete them, and they start deleting each other's. Sorry? Is it in the Google Classroom? It should be the top posting. Yeah, branching ideas. So if you want to spend a couple of minutes just jotting down ideas, have a chat to your table about how you would use it or how you could use it. Don't be held back by how to do it. Just think about how you could use it. The last thing I think it'd be useful to do is with your table or by yourself, it'd be really good if you tried to create a simple choose your own adventure. It could be story, or it could be a teaching quiz that I did before, like a YouTube clip or something like that. Have a look at the work you're doing. And the reason I wanted you to sit at tables where there's varying abilities is it'd be great if you helped the person next to you who's never actually created one to create one itself, to use that. But the only way really, I mean, I can show you all day long or tell you what links to look at, but play around with it. You can see the different types of questions. And I'm more than happy to wander around and go, yep, this is how we do the branch, or this is how you answer that question. But create a choose your own adventure story now. Okay, do that. If you make it a simple story, about coming to work, you drive into the car park and you see a dog, what do you do? Okay, something similar like that. So create your own. Yes, if you want.